Hi Fantasy Managers, in this video we're going to go through a wildcard team for Game Week 28. I activated my wildcard a week ago, been waiting for those fixture announcements for Game Week 30 to be confirmed. I've looked at the doubles for 28, 29, how to get through 30 without free hitting. This is what I have come up with, so let's take a look. Hi Fantasy Managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. So in this video we're going to go through my wildcard team for Game Week 28. It's not just any old wildcard team, this is the team that I am going to be doing. I activated my wildcard team as soon as the Game Week 27 transfer deadline was over. This has been locked in. I've been looking at the fixtures, how to attack the doubles for 28, 29. How do I get through? Can I get through Game Week 30 without using that precious free hit? To put it in context, guys, I've got 2 free hits. I've obviously got my wild card left. I want to save it for the longer term if I can. By wildcarding now, I can attack those 28 and 29 fixtures, get through 30. And now I know pretty much, barring the Everton versus Boreham Wood fixture, what the fixtures are going to be in Game Week 30. I am able to finalise my team. Not everything on here is set in stone. 85%, 90% sure this is going to be my final team. But we'll go through it in a minute. I do want to put some caveats. Stop until the end because there's lots of different options and alternatives that I can put forward to you if you are happy to use your free hit in Game Week 30. If you haven't, obviously there's different options. There's 1 or 2 provisos about the side. There's a few things that I've omitted, a few things that I'm not sure whether it's a good idea or not to not include some players. But we'll have a look, have a discussion. Please hit that like button. Give me any comments about what you think at the end. And obviously subscribe to the channel, guys, so you stay in touch with how we're doing, team selection, wildcard videos, all that good stuff. In the meantime, let's have a look. Ever since the deadline on Game Week 27, I've been committed to activating that Game Week 28 wildcard. Since we had those double game fixtures in 28 and 29, I was hell-bent on doing it in 28, so that I dead-ended my side in 27, got rid of those Burnley assets, some of those deadwood can go. 28 was the week I was going to hit those double game week fixtures hard for 28 and 29, and also I knew that by the deadline of 28, before I could finalise my wildcard, I'd know those fixtures for game week 30, so I could plan through game week 30 without using a free hit, and then go into the last 8 games of the season with 2 free hits still to play. That was always the plan, and I think with the wildcard I'm going to show you, I can execute that plan. Now your strategy might be slightly different. Whether you've still got 1 free hit or not, I think if you do, then this plan is going to be just as crucial for you because you will be able to get through Game Week 30 without free hitting, saving it for some of those big doubles later on in the season, particularly 36, or if we need to get through 33 without that blank bidding there as well. So, we know then that 8 teams now are going to double in 28. When initially I did the first draft of this and I hit that wildcard button very early, I was able to not only secure some of the prices for my players before they went up, but we had only 6 teams doubling. Since then, Norwich versus Chelsea has been moved from 13 to 28 because Chelsea progressed in the cup and avoid fixture congestion later on. 6 teams double in 29. So, bearing that in mind, I've put my wildcard together. 10 double game week players I've got in game week 28. Using this strategy, I've got 7 double game week players for 29. And I can also get 10 players out in game week 30. That is assuming I make no hits, thus saving my free hit. So, let's have a look at how I'm going to do it. And it all evolves around this game week 30. The fact now that we know these 4 fixtures will definitely take place, and I'm going on the assumption at the moment that by the time of recording, Boreham Wood are playing Everton. Everton go through, nothing else gets added. If Everton for some reason get knocked out by Boreham Wood, then they will be added to this list and they will play Watford. That won't change too much of my thinking, I don't think. There's not too many of those assets there that I would be that interested in, but I might need to rethink it. At the moment, I'm 85%, 90% sure this is my wildcard side. The fact that Spurs got knocked out against West Ham getting knocked out in Game Week 30, that really allows us to target those Spurs players. They double in 29 and they obviously play in 30. They're the only side that double in 29 and play in 30. Wolves, Villa, Leeds all have doubles elsewhere in 28, but Spurs, that's a nice addition. Without them being in this, I don't think a free hit would have been avoidable for Game Week 30 for me. So let's have a look at my side then, guys, that I've put together for you. In goal, I've got Sarr, because I jumped on him earlier. I've got him 5.2. He's gone up to 5.3. Great fixtures, Palace, Watford. And then he obviously plays Leeds in game week 30. In the meantime, he's got Everton. After that, decent fixture against Villa. I'm dovetailing him with Ramsdale. So that 29 fixture won't take place for Sarr for me. I'll bring in Ramsdale for 29. So I've got a double with my goalkeepers. In the original draft, I had a whole conversation and some comments about spending too much on goalkeepers. I've got the budget to spend, so I'm happy, and I think it's wise to invest in 2 goalkeepers. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do it throughout the course of the season, but there's so many doubles, I'm happy to dovetail with these 2, and I've got an increased budget because of transfer profits I've made, so everyone will be a bit different, and there's just no ideal keeper to bring in that's going to hit all the right fixtures. Dubravka doubles in 28 and 29, but just don't like the doubles that he's got. Plus, these 2 keepers do definitely play in 30, so I've got a choice there, and they've got decent fixtures between them moving on after that. I don't envisage wasting a transfer on one of these, bring them out later on. I do agree, I'm not entirely happy about spending this much in my goalkeeper department, but when I've balanced it out with the rest of the squad, I think I can get away with it, and I think the value is there. Par to par then, they both averaging goals conceded, expecting goals conceded 1.4, 5 points per 90 minutes. Ramsdale's getting 4.1. Sarr, just sometimes, as you know, guys, it's all about clean sheets for keepers. You can see 1 goal a game and it loses your clean sheet. If you concede 6 and then 5 clean sheets, you will get more points. So Ramsdale obviously doing better on that front. Both keepers playing for a pretty solid side these days, you'd have to say. Arsenal a lot stronger in defence under Arteta in recent times. Moving into my defence then. So we have got Digne, I've got James, I've got Rudiger, I've got Target, I've got Kilman. Digne, attacking wise, we know what he's capable of from previous seasons. Great double game fixture against Southampton and Leeds. He plays Arsenal in 30 as well, so that's crucial. James, great fixtures as Rudiger for game week 28. Good fixture in game week 29 and brilliant fixtures afterwards. The only problem is they blank in 30. So, I've got 2 Chelsea players. I'm happy to double that in defence. We'll talk about more James towards the end of the video. But great fixtures there. Possibly even considering a captaincy option with them as well. Target, double. I just feel I had to have a Newcastle player in there. Decent fixtures in 28. Tricky ones in 29. The fact he's playing twice as many games just swings it for me. Not playing 30, which is annoying. Kilman, as we've seen with Sarr, great fixtures. Absolutely 100% nailed in that Wolves defence. Not a lot in terms of attacking returns, as we'll see. But again, Leeds in 30. Again, really important that we have that another player in there. Digne then conceding 1.4. A bit tighter under Gerrard. Expected goal involvement. You'd expect more from Digne, but he's had an up and down, topsy-turvy season. Only recently getting a run real in the side. So hopefully that will only go up. Reece James, we know how devastating he can be. Him and Rudiger only conceding 0.9 a game. Rudiger absolutely nailed in that Chelsea defence. That's why he's in there. In terms of goal involvement, though, James just so explosive and just such an asset going down that right-hand side. You've got Target, getting more games now. You wouldn't say that Newcastle are as leaky as they were before. 1.9 is what they can expect to concede previously. Only 8. That's gone down in the last few weeks. And then Kilman as well. 1.4 conceding. Not really going to get much attacking return from him. 0.06. So he's only in there really for those clean sheets. Looking in the midfield then, Heung-min-son. You've got Everton at home. Decent fixture, and we'll look at whether or not he's a benchable option later on. Game week 30 he plays West Ham now, which is really nice. Great fixture in game week 31 and then a double in 29. Salah just can't really even consider going through a side without him in. Does blank in 30 though, but again, great captaincy option in 29. And then Kulusevski, obviously he's been playing pretty regularly under Conte now, getting goal involvement, 6 million. He seems like a really good option. And Willock, not someone I would consider him before, but I am sort of been convinced of him in recent times, listening to other few content providers. So he's got Brighton at home, Southampton away, decent fixtures, tricky in game week 29, but he's been getting on the score sheet. We saw from last year, if he gets on a run, what damage he can do. 5.7, good enabler. When you've got the likes of Salah, Son, Rudiger and James, you've got to have some concessions, and he's one of them. And the other one would be Ramsey. Plays in 30. We'll look at options. You could upgrade him if you want, but that has repercussions later on. Decent fixtures in game week 28. Minso now 0.63, 9 goals, 7 assists, decent over the last 5 games, decent expected goal involvement, 0.63 is really good. Salah, no introduction, we know how devastating he can be. Kulusevski, decent, 0.49, 2 goals, 1 assist. He's only played 4.5 games effectively, but 24 points nonetheless. Willock only in recent times starting to pick up a few goal involvements. 29 points, very good, outscoring Son there for only 5.7. And then Ramsey picked up a brace the other day as well. His goal involvement, not particularly high, but 5 goals, 1 assist. So what goal involvements he does have, it tends to be by scoring, which is obviously where more points are, which interests us more. But 23 points over the last 5 games, decent, and just plays every game for Gerrard as well. Looking then up from, we've got Hwang, Broja, and Kane. Great fixtures for Hwang. He's been a real favourite at Lager. Signed permanently now. Got a good decent fixture in Game Week 30 as well. He at 5.4. Really nice price, I think. Scored at Arsenal the other day. Broja looks devastating for Southampton at the moment, who are playing really well. Double in 28. Decent game fixture in 29. Obviously blank in 30 now. But all those two players allow you to afford Kane, who's now playing in 30, great fixture in 31, and he doubles in 29 as well. So, really important that he comes in, I think. Not a player I would have considered until recently when they got knocked out and playing in 30, but I just feel you can't avoid him now. Hwang, 0.31 goal in expected goal involvement, 5 goals, he just deals in goals. Broja, 6 goals, 2 assists. Again, decent XGI. Kane, and this is non-penalties, 0.69, and we know he's got penalties as well. 8 goals, I wouldn't expect to be saying that come March, that he's only got 8 goals, but he looks a lot more sharper, fresher. They've got nothing else to play for. He's nailed on pens, 30 points in the last 5 games. I think 12.2, yes, I'm happy to go with him, especially knowing he's got that game week 30 fixture. So this is how the side lines up. 99.7, so everyone can afford this. How much you have in the bank will vary. Remember, the value of your side is not necessarily the amount you'll get when you transfer them all out and then they halve the transfer profit and you'll get what you have. I had something like 105 value. Obviously, that gets whittled away because they take half the profit off you. So the problem I mainly have with this side is not how many double game week players, it's the bench. I have 10 players doubling up in Game Week 28, which is fantastic. Salah, Kulusevski, Kane and Son, one of those has got to play. Only one. So who does it go with? I'll put Son in right now, but I think more than likely I'm going to go with Salah, and that leaves 3 Tottenham players against Everton. Now you might be asking yourself, why have I got 3 Tottenham players? We're not going to play any of them. Why not bring them in for Game Week 29? I will go through that in a minute. There's a good reason. I want to save those transfers Game Week 30. So, in Game Week 29, this is what it will look like. I have Ramsdale doubling. I've got the likes of Target, Salah, Willock, Son, Kulusevski, Kane. So, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 5, 7 players doubling up. I've got good fixtures for Chelsea as well. Newcastle at home. I like that. Broja at home to Watford. Digne away at West Ham. You could play Ramsey, or you could go and a Wolves defender or a striker, Hwang. Captaincy looks clearly to go on Salah, but those 3 Tottenham players come in for that game. And then Game Week 30, it looks like this. So I've got Digne, Ramsdale, Kilman, Ramsey, Son, Hwang and Kane. I could play Sarr, who playing Leeds at home, instead of Ramsdale, but that still leaves me 3 players short. But I do have 2 free transfers. I don't want to take those Chelsea players out. I do want those Tottenham players to be playing after Game Week 31 anyway. So the reason for having those Tottenham players on the bench in 28 is I just wanted to save these 2 transfers to bring in, take out Target and Willock, and bring in 2 Leicester players at home to Brentford, Thomas and Maddison. They have great fixtures afterwards, and they also have 3 fixtures rearranged. So there's a lot of potential for that. And I do think Maddison's a decent captaincy shout for Game Week 30. Looking at all those fixtures, could go Kane as always an option, but Maddison, quite like the idea of that. That just leaves you 1, so we haven't taken a single hit. I think with that side, I'll be happy to get through Game Week 30 without free hitting. I might know more about the fixtures coming up, so it may be that those Leicester players are not the ones I want to change or bring in, but I can adapt and change to that later on. That is the plan. Other options then, Reece James, I said we'll come back to him, 6.2. I like the price. I'm not sure about him in terms of rotation. He's come back from injury and he's got a double game week. If he was playing both games, I think, yes, absolutely, you've got to play him. He's got to come in. But does he get rotated because of this injury? Those are the questions and doubts. He's really explosive. I do think Tuchel trusts him. He's brought him in halfway through the EFL Cup final where he played an hour, including that extra time. He's also then brought him on when they were losing at Luton the other night. Got another 30 minutes under his belt. So Tuchel trusts him, and even commented about the fact that his performances were straight at the level they should be. Naturally, he's just the most nailed-on right wing-back that they've got at the club. Aspilicueta fills in there, does a really good job. Hudson-Odoi's played across there as well. But when he was playing earlier on the season, there was not a lot of competition for Reece James on that side, where sometimes you had Alonso and Chilwell playing together, but Reece James was pretty much playing every game. So he's had a few minutes under his belt. Does that mean now he is the natural right-back choice, the wing-back choice for Chelsea? It's a gamble. I do think it's a gamble, but I do want a Chelsea player playing in that, in my side with those fixtures coming up. And Reece James, for me, is the one. If I don't go Reece James, if you didn't fancy Reece James, obviously the players that are missing, I haven't gone for Trent or Robertson. That does worry me a little bit, because I think their fixtures look great and they have a double in 29 as well, and I'm missing out on that. So that is a concern. But if I went James to one of those, that means for 29, I could have James for 28, take him out for 29 and bring one of these in, Trent or Robertson. I do have the funds to do that, but that means I only have one transfer to make in game week 30. Now, it may be that I can take another 4-point hit, get up to 10 or 11 players with an 8-point hit. Am I going to make enough money with Trent or Robinson playing an extra game? I just don't know, especially when Chelsea are playing Newcastle at home. Will Trent Robinson outscore him with those two away fixtures? Possibly, but it's going to include the 4-point hit that I would take in game week 30 as well. So I've got to weigh that up. And if I did go Robertson from the start, I could do over James. Do I go Robertson or do I go Trent? Trent, 2 goals, 10 assists, 0.49 XGI and conceding 1 goal a game. Really good. We know how good he's been. Only 1 return in the last 5 games though. 22 points in the last 5 games. His XGI is actually a little bit lower in the last 5 games. 0.35 as well. Robertson on your hand, 1 goal, so only 1 less. Same amount of assists. Lower XGI across the season. Obviously conceding the same amount of goals. 5 returns in the last 5 games. 49 points. Almost double what Trent has got. Over double what Trent has got. XGI higher in the last 5 games, but not as high as Trent still. So if you compare the two, Robertson, more returns last 5 games, more points last 5 games. Trent, though, is actually expected to get more involvements in the last 5 games. It hasn't worked out that way. He's got 1 more goal over the season, same amount of assists. XGI is higher over the season. Over a season, I would definitely go for Trent. Over the last 10-11 games, for an extra 1.3 million, I don't think there's a lot in it. So I'll be tempted to go Robertson at the moment over Trent, just because that 1.3 million can make a big difference of where else I put it in the side. I definitely don't think Trent's going to outscore Robertson by the same amount I can gain value elsewhere in the squad. So at the moment, I'm siding on Robertson. If I had Trent and I think money invested in him, possibly that makes it a tougher call and I stick with Trent. But straight down the middle, I think I'd go Robertson right now. Other options then, or the other things that concern me, is I don't have any Manchester City players in this side. That does worry me. The one obvious player that I could have, and I've had since the start of the season, is Cancelo, 7.1. I could move James to Cancelo. That is an option. Problem is, Cancelo doesn't have any double game weeks, doesn't play in game week 30 either. Chelsea's fixtures are a lot better. And even Cancelo can be rested or dropped. So he's more expensive. I just don't like it. I think Reece James is the sensible call. It's not to say Cancelo can't outscore him even though he's got less games, but I do think James, for the money as well, yes, I'm going to keep him. Other Man City assets, I'm just not sure where I could go. I could go with Kevin De Bruyne, but then I'm going to have to start making sacrifices with the likes of Son or Salah and Kane, and I'm just not prepared to do that when all the other players have double game weeks. Manchester City have so many involvements on so many fronts. I'm just unsure about what fixtures and what team's going to come out. Other options, Kulusevski, 6 million. If you weren't sure about him, and you can't say he's absolutely nailed yet, he's played the last 4, started the last 4, so he has been getting goal involvement. The other options, possibly Coutinho. The only problem is, I think they play the same amount of games over the 2 weeks, and they both play in 30, that's fine. Only thing is, Coutinho's paying 1.4 million more, and that will just stop or restrict what I can do in game week 30 when I take Target and Willock out. I'm suddenly going to be hamstring a little bit. I wouldn't be able to get up to a Maddison. I might there be scratching around to find someone else. And there's not a lot of other choices in game week 30, and I might be forced to free hit. So for this moment in time, for just the money, I think I'll go Kulusevski. Congratulations if you got all the way through to the end of that video. So there's lots of stuff to digest there, guys. Tell me what you think of that wildcard side. Would you bring in Manchester City players? Would you start with more Liverpool players? Robertson or Trent, which one would you go for? Any other players that you would bring in or any teams you would target? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. In the meantime, take care. Speak to you soon.